When you hear Kim Jong-un called the world's richest leader, it's easy to imagine a massive bank vault with his name on it. But in reality, that title is a bit of a media shortcut. To truly understand his wealth, you have to throw out everything you know about how money works in a democracy. In most countries, there's a clear wall between the president's paycheck and the national treasury. In North Korea, that wall doesn't exist. Kim doesn't just have a high net worth. He has absolute, undisputed command over the country's entire GDP. Imagine a world where the line between the government's money and my money is completely erased. That is the reality of the Kim dynasty. So, how does he actually pull this off? It's a multi-layered financial machine. First, there's the state revenue, which is essentially every penny earned by state-owned factories and farms. Then things get darker with Office 39, a shadowy government slush fund department that acts like a global corporate conglomerate, churning out hard cash through everything from gold mines to seafood exports. But the real game changer in recent years has been the illicit income streams. We're talking about sophisticated cyber heists and cryptojacking that bring in billions, alongside under-the-table weapons deals. Finally, he sits on strategic reserves, literal piles of gold and stacks of foreign cash kept on standby for emergencies or to buy off political rivals. South Korean intelligence estimates that the Kim family is sitting on a war chest worth several billion US dollars. But this isn't just money for money's sake. It's the lifeblood of what experts call the royal court economy. This is Kim's ultimate survival strategy, using that cash to flood his inner circle with high-end Mercedes-Benz sedans, Swiss watches, and top-shelf cognac to ensure no one ever thinks about a coup. Even with the world's heaviest sanctions trying to choke the country's economy, the luxury keeps flowing in through a maze of front companies and ghost ships. At the end of the day, you won't find Kim Jong-un on a Forbes billionaire list. And that's because his wealth is impossible to track with traditional accounting. Between the extreme secrecy of the regime and a web of shell corporations stretching across China and Southeast Asia, the exact numbers are a mystery. But the takeaway is simple. Kim's wealth isn't about personal assets or a stock portfolio. It's about total liquidity. He is perhaps the only person on the planet who can treat a national central bank like a private, unlimited checking account. If you want to find the real heartbeat of Kim Jong-un's fortune, you have to look into the shadows at a group called Office 39. Think of it as a strange, high-stakes hybrid between a government agency and a global crime syndicate. Its only job? Bringing in cold, hard cash, specifically foreign currency, that never touches the official national budget. This isn't just a small side hustle. Defectors and intelligence experts estimate this shadowy bureau pumps anywhere from $500 million to $1 billion a year directly into the Kim family's pockets. The way they make this money is honestly wild. On the surface, they look like a legitimate business conglomerate. They run gold mines, export seafood, and even manage a chain of Pyongyang restaurants you can find in various cities across Asia. But that's just the storefront. Behind the scenes, Office 39 is a master of the hustle. They've been caught doing everything from printing high-quality counterfeit $100 bills to running global smuggling rings for narcotics. They also ship thousands of North Korean laborers overseas to work in logging and construction, often in brutal conditions, just so the government can skim nearly their entire paychecks. As the world has gone digital, Office 39 has traded some of its old-school smuggling for high-tech heists. They've gone all in on cyber warfare and cryptojacking. You've probably heard of the Lazarus Group, the infamous hackers behind some of the biggest digital robberies in history. They are widely believed to be the tech department for Office 39, siphoning billions of dollars from global crypto exchanges and banks to bypass international sanctions. It's a genius, albeit illegal, way to fill a treasury that the rest of the world is trying to lock down. But here's the part that really sticks with you. None of this money goes toward fixing roads, feeding the hungry, or building hospitals. Every cent is earmarked for loyalty management. In a regime like North Korea, the biggest threat to the leader isn't the people, it's the generals and the elites. Kim uses the Office 39 slush fund to buy their silence and support with a steady stream of banned luxury goods, from Italian leather to French wine. Whatever is left over goes straight into the nuclear program. Essentially, Office 39 isn't just a bank. It's the fuel that keeps the entire regime running. In recent years, the regime has traded in its old-school smuggling playbook for a high-stakes seat at the digital table. Forget small-time scams. We're talking about full-scale digital warfare. According to a bombshell U.S. State Department report from January 2026, North Korean hackers pulled off a staggering heist, siphoning over $2 billion in cryptocurrency in 2025 alone. The infamous Lazarus Group has moved on from petty fraud to mega heists, like the massive $1.5 billion hit on the Bybit exchange. They aren't just guessing passwords either. They're using insider IT workers and psychological social engineering to slip past the world's most secure digital vaults. This isn't just internet money. It's the liquid cash Kim needs to keep his private economy humming and his weapons programs growing, all while the rest of the world tries to look for a way to pull the plug. But the money doesn't just sit in a digital wallet. It manifests as a sprawling, real-world archipelago of opulence. If you look at satellite imagery of North Korea, you'll see dozens of luxury compounds that look like they belong on a billionaire's private island, not in one of the world's poorest countries. We're talking palatial estates in the heart of Pyongyang, seaside villas in Wonsan with private yacht docks, and hidden mountain retreats for when he wants to go completely off the grid. These aren't just houses. They are massive resorts featuring imported Italian marble, private water parks, and full-scale movie theaters. And since Kim technically owns all the land in the country, he doesn't need a mortgage. He just uses state labor and national resources to build his own personal paradise. When it's time to move between these estates, Kim doesn't just hop in a cab. He travels in a way that projects absolute power, despite every international sanction meant to ground him. His Air Force One is a Soviet-era Ilyushin 62, nicknamed Chame-1, which has been gutted and refitted with luxury wood-paneled cabins and plush leather seats. For shorter hops around East Asia, he uses a sleek Antonov 148. He even has a fleet of high-end helicopters, many of them smuggled into the country through shady third-party deals that allow him to zip between his villas without being spotted by foreign satellites. When Kim hits the road, he doesn't just travel. He makes a statement that the world's rules don't apply to him. His motorcade is a rolling middle finger to international trade bans. He's usually spotted in the back of a customized Mercedes-Maybach S600 Pullman Guard, and he recently leveled up with a Maybach GLS 600 SUV. These aren't your standard luxury rides. After being custom-armored to withstand explosions and high-caliber gunfire, each one carries a price tag north of $1 million. But here's the crazy part. How do they even get there? UN investigators have tracked these cars on ghost routes that look like an action movie plot, bouncing from European ports to Southeast Asia, then snaking through China and Russia, just to hide the paper trail before arriving in Pyongyang. But as impressive as the cars are, the real crown jewel of his travel gear is the Taiyang-ho, the Sun train. This isn't just a train, it's a moving fortress. Carrying on a family tradition, Kim travels in a 20-car armored convoy that is so heavy with steel plating, it can only hit about 37 miles per hour. But what it lacks in speed, it makes up for in pure, unadulterated luxury. Inside, you'll find a gourmet dining car stocked with live lobsters and expensive French wines flown in from Paris, a high-tech satellite command center, and even a garage car that hauls his armored limos and a backup helicopter. It's a self-contained world that lets him run the country or oversee a missile launch without ever having to step foot on a vulnerable airplane. And for when he needs to catch some rays, the regime keeps a secret fleet of high-end yachts that would look right at home in the French Riviera. The centerpiece is a massive 80-meter private yacht, usually anchored near the Wonsan coastal resort. We're talking about a vessel worth over $7 million, decked out with a full-sized swimming pool, multi-story water slides, and banquet halls for hosting the North Korean elite. These boats aren't just for fun, though. They act as strategic bubbles of luxury. They allow the Kim family to live a 5-star lifestyle in total isolation, completely shielded from the crushing poverty that defines life for everyone else in the country. For the Kim family, rocking high-end Western brands isn't just about having good taste. It's a power move. It's a loud, visible reminder that they live in a completely different universe than the average North Korean. While the rest of the country deals with crushing shortages, Kim Jong-un is casually checking the time on an IWC Portofino watch worth $14,000. And his sister, Kim Yo-jong, is often spotted with Christian Dior bags that cost more than most people there will see in a lifetime. So, how do they get this stuff when it's technically illegal to sell it to them? They use a who's who of shadow companies and diplomatic loopholes, smuggling these goods across borders in what are essentially ghost shipments that mock the very sanctions they claim to ignore. But here's the thing. This isn't just a shopping spree for the family. It's a genius and calculated political survival tactic called gift politics. See, in a place like North Korea, you can't exactly work hard and buy a nice car on your own. The only way to get the good life is for the leader to give it to you. Kim uses his massive slush funds to rain down high-end rewards. Everything from Mercedes-Benz sedans and Omega watches to luxury penthouses. On the generals and scientists he needs to keep happy. When Kim hands a general the keys to a banned luxury car, he isn't just giving a gift. He's buying loyalty. He's making sure that if the regime falls, that general loses his car, his watch, and his 5-star life. The numbers are pretty staggering. Even with the world watching, reports from 2024 and 2025 show that North Korea managed to sneak in over $50 million worth of luxury goods, specifically for this elite bribery system. We even saw this play out on the world stage when Vladimir Putin gifted Kim a Russian-made Urus limousine. Kim didn't just tuck it away. He flaunted it to show his inner circle that he still has powerful friends and access to the best toys. By keeping his top brass swimming in luxuries they can't get anywhere else, Kim turns these high-end brands into the glue that holds his government together. It's a simple trade. You stay loyal to me, and I'll make sure you live like a king in a country of paupers. Beyond the flash of private jets and marble palaces, Kim Jong-un is playing a much deeper financial game. He's built a massive portfolio of portable wealth, assets he can move or hide in a heartbeat. We're talking about a secret collection of high-end art, from classic European oil paintings to modern masterpieces, all snatched up at international auctions through shadowy middlemen. This isn't just for decoration, it's sovereign insurance. If the North Korean currency tanks or his bank accounts get frozen, those paintings still hold their value. It's a way to keep his fortune safe from the rest of the world's reach. But it's not just about what's hanging on the walls. The regime maintains a global web of offshore accounts and shell companies tucked away in corners of Southeast Asia, like Cambodia and Malaysia, places where the financial rules are, don't ask, don't tell. These hidden reserves serve three big purposes. They act as a private war chest for whatever Kim wants to buy. They give him a way to trade with the outside world under the radar. And most importantly, they're his emergency exit fund. If his government ever collapsed, he'd have enough liquid wealth stashed abroad to live in luxury for the rest of his life in exile. Now, you might be wondering, aren't there sanctions to stop this? Technically, yes. The UN has banned all luxury sales to North Korea. But in reality, those bans are more like a sieve than a brick wall. Research groups like C4ADS have uncovered a mind-blowing supply chain that moves high-end gear through transshipment hubs in China, Russia, and the Middle East. Smugglers use a trick called vessel identity laundering. They give ships fake names or just turn off their GPS transponders entirely to sneak everything from armored Maybachs to Italian marble right into North Korean ports. The regime is an expert at finding the weakest links in global trade. They'll mislabel a crate of luxury watches as electronics or construction materials, and they even use their own diplomats to carry suitcases of cash across borders. Knowing their diplomatic immunity makes them almost impossible to search. It's created a heartbreaking paradox. The sanctions are actually pretty good at blocking food and medicine for the average person. But for Kim, they're just a minor inconvenience. He treats the extra cost of smuggling like a luxury tax, a small price to pay from a multi-billion-dollar slush fund that never seems to run dry. When you look at the Kim family's lifestyle, you're looking at billions of dollars in action. But that opulence comes with a haunting price tag. As we move through 2026, the gap between the palace and the street has never been wider. While Kim's inner circle enjoys the world's finest luxuries, nearly half the population, over 10 million people, are struggling to find enough to eat. We're talking about a country where basic medicine is a rarity, and rural villages haven't seen reliable electricity or clean water in years. The math is actually pretty gut-wrenching. Experts suggest that the money Kim spends on luxury imports and missile tests could literally pay for the entire nation's food shortage for 3 years. This isn't just a case of rich versus poor. It's a deliberate, calculated choice to prioritize gift politics and personal toys over the survival of an entire nation. At the end of the day, you have to realize that Kim Jong-un isn't a billionaire in any way we'd recognize. He doesn't have a 401k, a stock portfolio, or a net worth you can track on a ticker. Instead, he's the architect of a system that treats the entire national treasury like a private piggy bank. His wealth isn't a static number in a bank account. It's his absolute power to command every cent the country makes, move it through secret slush funds, and flip the bird to international sanctions through a global criminal network. In North Korea, wealth isn't personal, it's structural. It's baked into the very foundation of the state. While most world leaders are supposed to be managers of their country's resources, Kim acts like the sole owner of a company called North Korea. He treats the entire national economy as a fuel source to keep his regime running and his elites happy. For him, money is the ultimate tool of control. As long as he stays liquid, he stays in power, no matter how much the reality on the streets of Pyongyang might crumble.